I never expected my year-end review to open with the sentence, "Do you understand this means a 30% pay cut?" Yet, that was the first thing my boss, Martin Lowell, said as he pushed a single evaluation form across the table toward me. I sat up straighter, trying to steady the way my stomach dropped. A 30% cut, I repeated, because I needed to hear myself say it out loud to believe it. Martin tapped the page with 2 fingers. "This is the evaluation your manager submitted." His voice carried the tightness of someone who did not want to be delivering news at all. 3 stars. A recommendation for removal. I cannot override this without documentation I do not have. My breath snagged. Removal. Not review. Not improvement. Removal. I looked down at the paper. Most of the form was typed in the same corporate template we had used for years. But there, in the top corner, written in unmistakable blue ink, was a short line in handwriting I recognized immediately. 3 stars needs to be removed. Signed, Dana Caldwell. For a moment, the room in that Portland office tower went quiet in a way that did not feel natural. It felt engineered, like I had been pushed into a soundproof box. "I do not understand this," I said softly. Dana never indicated there were concerns. Martin exhaled through his nose. "She submitted this 2 days ago. I called her in earlier to clarify, but she said she already spoke to you." "She did not," I answered. He hesitated. "Then I suggest you take the rest of the day. Think things through." But I did not need the rest of the day. I understood everything in one sharp, breathless instant. This was not an error. Dana had planned this. She was clearing room above her, and I was the one she selected to push out. I folded the evaluation form slowly, not to keep it, but to steady my hands. Something in me, something I had been trying to hold together for months, finally shifted into place. I stood. "Thank you for telling me." "Martin." There was nothing else to say. I walked out of his office already knowing exactly where this would lead next. I left Martin's office with the evaluation still burning in my hands, and before I even reached the elevator, the memories of the past year came rushing in like a tide I had been trying to outrun. It started quietly. Amelia. The meeting already ended, Dana had said one morning, standing in the doorway with her arms folded. "We covered everything. I will fill you in later." She never did. A week later, a client emailed, confused, asking why I had not responded to a question they had sent 3 days earlier. I checked my inbox twice before walking to Dana's desk. "You never forwarded their message," I told her. She shrugged. "I must have forgotten." "It happens. Just fix it. Fix it." That became the response to everything. During a project crisis in early spring, I stayed late drafting a solution that saved the timeline. The next morning, in front of the team, Dana announced, "I worked through the night and found a way to solve the issue." I said nothing. I watched several coworkers glance at me with uncertainty, as if they felt the shift but did not know how to name it. By summer, my internal dashboard, normally a quiet source of comfort, showed a sudden drop in my performance scores. I stared at the screen, baffled. "This does not make sense," I whispered. "Metrics reflect reality," Dana said as she passed behind me. Her voice held something that made my skin prickle, but it was only last night, when I checked the archived versions of those scores, that I saw the timestamps. The first dip appeared 9 months ago, long before any supposed concerns, long before any conversations, long before today. This morning's review was not a surprise attack. It was the finish line of a plan Dana had been building for nearly a year, and now I finally understood what she expected me to do next. I was halfway back to my desk when Marcus, one of the analysts who had worked with me for years, stepped into my path. His voice was low, as if he were afraid someone might hear. "Amelia, I think you should know something." My throat tightened. "What now?" He glanced toward Dana's office. "She has been telling people you are resistant to direction, that you push back on leadership." His expression carried apology, like he hated himself for repeating it. I did not believe it. but she said it often. I thanked him and walked away before the anger could seep through my voice. Minutes later, an unexpected email from HR landed in my inbox. Attached draft documentation for potential performance improvement plan. A second later, a follow-up arrived. Apologies, wrong recipient, but the first message sat there. My name in the subject line, a document dated 3 months earlier. I clicked it open with shaking hands. Every bullet point was a distortion, a half-truth shaped into a warning. When I finally looked up, I felt cold. Then the phone rang. It was a client I had supported for 2 years. Amelia, why were we assigned someone new? We were told you stepped back. My pulse tripped. I was not informed of any reassignment. Strange, he said. Dana told us you asked for reduced involvement. I kept my voice steady. I did not. After the call, I opened the internal KPI dashboard again. This time, I checked the activity log. The metrics had been edited the night before submission at 1:30 in the morning under Dana's login. My chest tightened as I scrolled deeper into old email threads, searching for anything that might explain this. And I found it. A message from a month earlier, a missed deliverable. Dana had emailed Martin saying I misplaced the file. Yet the attachment history showed she was the one who removed it. Her pattern was not incompetence. It was strategy. She was making room for someone else, her niece, recently hired, already being ushered into leadership meetings I had never been invited to. The quiet war was never about my performance. It was about clearing the path in front of me while blocking every exit behind me. I drove home without remembering a single turn. The only thing I could see was that line in Dana's handwriting, burned into my mind like it had been carved there. 3 stars needs to be removed. Inside my apartment. I didn't bother turning on the lights. I dropped my bag on the couch and opened my laptop. Not because I wanted to work, but because I needed to see the numbers that ruled my life. My rent alone took nearly everything from my paycheck each month. My mother's treatments depended on the insurance my job provided. A 30% pay cut meant choosing between medication and rent, between survival and dignity. The weight of it hit me so fast I had to sit down. I covered my face with both hands. "This cannot be happening," I whispered, and for a few seconds, the tears came hard and hot, the way they do when your body realizes something before your mind does. Then I opened the evaluation again. "Needs to be removed." I said it aloud, forcing myself to hear it in my own voice. "Not me," I answered, quieter this time but steady. A knock at the door startled me. It was my neighbor, Mrs. Holloway, returning a package the courier had left at her place. "You look pale, dear," she said gently. "Long day, long year," I replied, and she nodded with the kind of understanding only age can offer before heading back to her own apartment. When the door closed, I stood in the silence and made a decision. No meetings, no confrontations, no desperate appeals. I was done playing in a system that had already written the ending for me. I would prepare my exit in absolute silence. I would gather everything: emails, metrics, timelines, proof of every manipulation, and I would walk away without leaving Dana a single loose thread to pull. Survival was not optional, and I was not going to lose everything because someone else decided I should disappear. The next morning, I arrived earlier than usual. Dana was never in before 9, and I needed the quiet. I opened my laptop and began collecting everything she counted on me never finding. The first folder I built was simple client praise. Every message where a client thanked me, mentioned my work by name, or referenced a solution I had created. As I pulled each email, I whispered the words under my breath, grounding myself in the truth. Next came the documents. I opened project timelines and clicked through the version histories. There it was, my solution, drafts time-stamped at 2 in the morning, 4 in the morning, noon on weekends. Proof of work Dana had spoken about as if she had written them herself. Then I moved to the performance dashboard. The alteration logs were unmistakable. I took screenshots, making sure to include the timestamps from the nights the numbers were changed. Every entry pointed back to Dana's login. Slack was next. I typed my name in the search bar and scrolled through old messages. Threads where she told the team she had already told Amelia, even though she never had. Conversations she had muted me from. Instances where she redirected information to her niece while telling me the client had gone silent. Each discovery was a cut, but each cut hardened something in me. Around 10, a message popped up from HR. Amelia, can you meet this afternoon to discuss recent performance trends? My stomach clenched, but not from fear. Not anymore. I typed back. I can meet at 3. When I closed the laptop, I felt the shift inside myself quiet, controlled. They thought they were preparing the final push. They believed I would walk into that meeting unarmed, confused, ready to defend myself. But I was not preparing to stay. I was preparing to leave on my terms, with the truth folded neatly in my hands. The HR meeting never happened. 10 minutes before 3, my phone buzzed with an unfamiliar number. I stepped into an empty conference room and answered quietly, "Amelia, it's Darren Holt." I closed my eyes. Darren had been one of my biggest clients before Dana reassigned the account. "Darren, it's good to hear from you." "Good to hear from you," he echoed. "We've been struggling without you." I tried to keep quiet about it, but honestly, our projects have been slipping. If you ever consider leaving your current role, call me. I mean that. My pulse thudded. Leaving is becoming a real possibility. There was a pause on his end, then his tone shifted. "All right. Then let me be fully transparent. I'm leading a department at Riven and Bright now. We're hiring. The role pays more than anything you have been offered before, and you would have control over your own team." My fingers tightened around the phone. "That is unexpected." "Not to me." Darren said, "You carried us for 2 straight years. We would be lucky to have you." Before I could respond, the conference room door creaked. Dana's voice floated in. "Off-site coffee meeting at 3:30. Amelia, interesting." Her eyes flicked to the phone in my hand before she continued. "Cool and sharp. Since you have extra time, I need the full proposal for the Carter pitch completed tonight. Non-negotiable." The door closed behind her. Darren heard enough to understand. "I'm guessing that was Dana." "It was," I whispered. "Then meet me tomorrow," he said. "You deserve better." After the call, I returned to my desk and opened the proposal. It was a mountain of work, the kind meant to break someone already standing on the edge. I finished every line by 6. When I sent it to Dana, she responded with a single word. "Good." But as I stared at her message, I realized something even more powerful. I was done waiting for permission to leave. Martin's assistant called me into the small conference room on the 12th floor. The moment I stepped inside, Dana was already seated, a neat stack of papers in front of her like she was preparing for a performance. "Amelia," she said, smiling tightly, "we need to address your documented underperformance." Martin cleared his throat, but he did not interrupt her. Dana slid a printout across the table. "Your metrics have shown consistent decline. Your communication has been unreliable. And your clients—" "Stop," I said quietly, placing my own folder on the table. "I brought something." Dana lifted her chin. "Amelia, this is not the time to—" "It is exactly the time," I said, opening the first page. "These are the metrics you submitted, and here are the version histories showing when they were edited." Martin leaned forward. "Edited." I turned the page. These screenshots show the timestamps, 1:30 in the morning, 4 in the morning, all under Dana's login. Dana stiffened. "You are misinterpreting the system." I kept my tone steady. "This is a series of emails that were never forwarded to me. These Slack threads show you blocked me from client updates. And this, I laid down the final sheet, is the original dashboard with my unmodified numbers." Martin's face paled. "Dana, these discrepancies are serious." Dana laughed once, brittle. She is fabricating a narrative to cover her performance issues. You cannot take this at face value. I closed the folder, not needing anything more. I am not here to debate. Martin looked at me. Amelia, we need to investigate this. No, I said. You do not. I pulled a single envelope from my bag and placed it in front of him. My resignation. I said, effective immediately. I am not fighting for a place where the truth is treated like a threat. Dana's smile cracked. I stood, walked out of that room, and let the door close behind me. My first day at Riven and Bright felt almost unreal. Darren met me in the lobby with a smile that reached his eyes. I am glad you are here, Amelia. Truly, I am glad too, I told him, and I meant it. The weight I had carried for months felt lighter the moment I sat at my new desk, but the quiet did not last. By noon, my phone buzzed with a message from an old client. Are you available again? We asked for you, but your former team had no idea what we meant. An hour later, another message came in. We were told you stepped away from our account. Is that true? I typed back politely, keeping the boundaries clear, but the pattern was obvious. The cracks were already widening. That evening, Darren stepped into my office. Someone from your old company reached out, he said carefully. They asked if I had any concerns about your performance. I raised my eyebrows. Did they now? He nodded, and I told them no. Then they asked if I knew anything about metrics being altered. My breath stilled. It confirmed it. Darren continued. All edits were done under Dana's login. The next morning, Marcus called. His voice shook. Amelia, HR is reviewing everything. A junior admitted Dana told them to hide client updates from you. I closed my eyes. I am sorry you all have to deal with this. It is not your fault, he said firmly. They pulled you out of the line of fire, and everything she buried is coming up on its own. By the end of the week, a compliance officer contacted Darren to verify my timeline. It was clear now the company was peeling back the layers Dana had built, and without anyone left to fix her messes. The truth had nowhere else to go but straight through the walls she thought would protect her. 3 weeks after I started my new job, an email from Marcus appeared in my inbox. Call me when you can. It is important. I stepped into an empty conference room and dialed him. He answered immediately. It is over, he said. The internal audit wrapped this morning. My heart beat once, slow and heavy. What did they find? Everything. His voice held no satisfaction, just exhaustion. They confirmed she falsified evaluations. She changed your metrics. She hid client communication. She retaliated against junior staff who questioned her. And she misled Martin for months to get her niece fast-tracked. I leaned against the wall, gripping the phone. What happens now? She was terminated an hour ago, he said. Security walked her out. She tried to blame the team, then then you. No one believed her. There was a pause before he added, Compliance escalated it to the State Oversight Council. She is on a professional ethics blacklist for 5 years. She cannot manage a team anywhere in Oregon. I let out a long breath I had been holding since the day Martin slid that form across the table. Not a triumphant exhale. Not victory. Just release. I am sorry you all had to go through this, I said quietly. We are sorry you had to face it alone, Marcus replied. But your documentation saved everyone. They have already changed the evaluation policies because of what you showed. I closed my eyes. Thank you for telling me. Amelia, he said softly, you deserved better than all of this. When I hung up, I did not feel joy. I did not feel rage. I felt the quiet steadiness of truth finally landing where it was always meant to be. Justice had arrived. Not in fireworks, but in the simple fact that no one could twist the story anymore. The letter arrived on a Wednesday morning, tucked between 2 project briefs on my new desk. The envelope carried no logo, just my name written in a careful hand. I opened it slowly, half expecting another administrative form I had forgotten to sign. Instead, it was a note from the audit committee of my former company. "Thank you for the documentation you provided." It read, "Your records protected current and future employees from similar harm. While your name will not be publicly attached to the updated policy, your actions have directly shaped it." I sat back in my chair, letting the words settle. No recognition ceremony, no announcement, just acknowledgement that what I lived through would not be repeated for someone else. That was enough. More than enough. A soft knock sounded at my door. Darren stepped in with a folder tucked under his arm. "Got a minute?" "Of course." He handed me the folder. "We are promoting you. You will lead the new strategy team. 5 analysts. Full autonomy. Build the culture you want." My breath caught. "You are serious." "We are," he said. "You have a way of making people feel capable. This team needs that." I nodded slowly, feeling something tighten and then release in my chest. "Thank you, Darren, truly." He smiled. "You earned it." When he left, I opened the folder and scanned the names of the analysts I would lead. Fresh talent. People who deserved better than the environment I had escaped. People who would never have to guess whether their work would be stolen or their careers sabotaged. I placed the audit letter inside the folder, quiet proof of where I had been and why I would lead differently. That night, as I finished drafting the introductory plan for my team, I thought back to the moment Martin slid that 3-star review across the table. They believed they were shrinking my world. All they did was force it open. The day they wrote that line, they thought they were defining my worth. But what they really did was push me into a life where no one else will ever write my value on a form again. If someone tried to erase you with a pen stroke, would you let them, or would you write the next chapter yourself?